Welcome back, everybody, to another HnK video game experience. It's Hollywood Cole here with Clearfire. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
So, we are going to do our first series. If you've been keeping up with the Facebook, you know what we've been doing. I've told you a million times, or I've told you guys a couple times, probably sick of hearing it, about the Final Fantasy VI series that we're going to do. So we're finally here. This is the first one, and we're excited to be doing it. It's a little bit different than what you're used to hearing from HnK. HnK is, we kind of do the, we'll pick a game and just say Top Gun, Jaws, whatever. When we did the 80s game, for example, we've all played them in the past. We all remember them, but we'll go back and play them again, go back and get some information about it, and then kind of relive it via our memory and any new information we picked up, and then just try to see how well the game holds up in general. This time, we're not going to do that with Final Fantasy VI. We're actually going to kind of walk through the entire game. All right, starting with Narshe, and just kind of talk about it. Obviously, we're going to get into our first memories of it at some point, stuff like that. Probably a 4-part series. I think that's what we decided on. Probably going to go up to the Opera House today, and then from there to the Dark World, and then we'll split the Dark World in half with the actual story and the side missions. This could be massive. So it depends on how long it takes, but that's what we're going to do for our next 4, and see how it goes. So I'm going to go, I didn't look up the story. All right, so I'm going to go from memory here. And the memory is, so that you said the clouds come down, Final Fantasy 3 pops up on the screen. You just let it play, and it talks about now technology. In the world, technology has begun to kind of come into being, and people use it, weaponize it, and all this kind of stuff. Magic just ceased to exist. As there was a big war of the Magi. And that was when basically people fought espers, and we're going to get into what an esper is later on, but they're basically magical creatures at this time. People are trying to harness their power, all this kind of stuff. So they sealed off, so they've been separated. And you start off with Terra as the number 1 character. So you kind of go through that whole opening scene, right, with that music. It gives the background story, pans over the Empire, all the different graphics of the different parts of the world. It's amazing. Gives you the whole history. Goes over Narshe, which is one of the primary towns in the game. You start off as Terra, who is a magic user. All right, nobody uses magic. So, and magic, like I said, ceased to exist. So it's kind of like a myth at this point. But the Empire has somehow, you don't know who this girl is. The Empire has a slave crown on her and controlling her. The Empire is the big evil, government over the whole thing. There's one big emperor, and they're trying to harness Esper energy at this point. You don't know that at this point, but Terra can do magic, so obviously they have captured her and using her.
And you actually don't know her name at this point either. It's just right, AKA question marks, for her name. It's just
yours says AKA.
Well, this one says AKA. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. It's just question marks. Yeah, you just said question marks for it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm actually reading through this while he's reading it too, because I'm trying to remember it the best I can, and it's better for me to have a walkthrough.
Yeah, because yours is on the phone, so it might be different. But anyway, they got Vix, or is it Vix and Wedge, or it's supposed to be a Star Wars kind of reference, and they always have these Biggs and Wedges later on, and all these. But anyway, so they're talking and kind of giving you a little bit of backstory. On the snowy hills of Narshe, you hear the wind blowing in the background. I mean, it's just every little detail, man. And you're like, what's going on? They're in these mech suits. I'm not a fan of mech, dude. I am not a fan of mech games. It's a whole subculture that I just do not get into.
I like it, but I'm a big fan of, God, now I can't even think of it. One of the
Mech
characters.
Warrior?
Not Mech Warrior, because I wasn't huge. Yeah, Gundams.
Yeah.
The Gundams, I like the Gundams. I was a fan of those. And I also love Voltron. That's another one I'm a big fan of. So that kind of stuff like that I like. So I kind of did like the mech suits. I was like, that's pretty cool when I first saw them.
Yeah. And so the soldiers, there's 2 Imperial soldiers. They have the mech suit. Terra has her own mech suit. She doesn't know what's going on. So then they start walking toward Narshe, and this music is what I'm talking about. That just gives me chills. even after you've played the game, especially after you've played the game and you understand all the twists and turns and character development in the game and this big adventure that's about to unfold, and you hear this music, oh man, it is just beautiful. Amazing. I recorded it back in the day on a tape, on a cassette. I hooked up my Super Nintendo to my stereo and recorded it. The sound on there, man, it's just great.
Oh, it's just beautiful. I mean, even the graphics for that back then was beautiful. I mean, it was just a beautiful scene. It was great seeing those mechs walk. You kind of see from the behind as they're walking away.
Yeah,
but it looked good. It looked good. It sounded good. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, something. You're fixing to walk into some amazing game because of that one scene. I mean, it was just like everything fit together so well. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is fixing to be something amazing. And then you get to start the game.
Yeah, and so that's like the prelude. And if you just let it walk and don't touch it, it'll kind of go through it again. You push start, and then now you're running around in Nars to go into the caves. You're starting to get the little Japanese RPG elements of this game already, where you're lined up on one side of the screen. You push fight, item, magic, that kind of stuff. And the enemies on the other side, they take turns. It's an active battle system introduced in this one, to where, the enemies will act even if you're selecting what to do. But I always turn mine to wait, just to go to old school. It's my turn. I'm thinking of a strategic move. Then it's their turn. Blah blah blah. Or however it worked out. It's all based on a speed. Your speed stat is when your turn takes place. There's a million different stats. You got your magic, your magic defense, your physical defense, physical attack, and all this. And these different characters have different attributes based on their story and based on who they are. And that's who you want to, obviously, if you got somebody with a high magic stat, that's who you want to be a primary magic user, and so on and so forth. So you're running through the caves with the mech suits. And it's just a breeze in those suits. You come up on your first boss, who is it's called, so I don't know if I don't even remember this. I remember the name of it, but on this it's Ymir.
Yeah, I remember the name. I don't know if that's pronounced right. I think that they're trying to
Ymir or something. Yeah,
I think they're trying to pull one of the Norse names out and try to do like that, because that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. And so this guy kind of introduces you to, it's just one boss, but he's got two components, a head and a shell. And he's trying to introduce you to the fact that, hey, it's not just, unleash on whatever you're fighting, right? You have to use a little bit of strategy. So this little head is a snail-like creature. His head will go into the shell, and if you attack the shell, he hits you with some super bolt, type of thing. So you just want to wait until his head comes out. Now, Terra can use magic even in the suit. Yeah. But it's really not needed at all, because you can do a cure. The suit can cure. And Terra's suit has a little bit more things to choose from than the other two. And I don't know how that's explained. If they just gave her the better suit to make sure she survives, probably what happened. It never explains it. But she can do a missile attack in that suit, and that's by far the strongest thing you can do at this point in the game.
Between that and the Bioblaster, if you fight any humans, I mean, it just wipes them out.
Well, on the
Bioblaster in the suit.
Oh yeah. That's more for big groups, and the missile is just a single, it just kills them. But anyway, so it kills that, and then and then they go through and they come upon the Esper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me see here. Oh yeah, so they come up on it. So you actually get in a fight. That's why I couldn't remember, because there's 2 times you walk up on the Esper, several times, but this time they go into the actual combat screen, and the other two guys get thrown away, and she is right in front of the frozen Esper, and they kind of connect somehow, like lightning and all this, and she kind of gets knocked back into her senses, and so the armor explodes, and then next thing you know, she's waking up alone and confused in the mines. This old man is nursing her back to health. So so she wakes up in a bed in Nar. Sorry.
Yeah, she wakes up in bed.
Yeah, and the guards are trying to come back and find her.
Yeah, and she only remembers her name at that point.
Yeah. And so, I'm trying to think, how does she get down into the cave when Locke is introduced?
She falls down into it. She's trying to escape.
Oh yeah, she's trying to escape out the back when the guards come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guards come up and she tries to run out the back, and the back way is through the caves. And then she goes out to the caves, and as she's going through the caves, she hits a point where she falls through the floor. And she falls down, and then that's when Locke is actually... You see Locke talking to one of the guys in Narsh. Locke comes running into the caves, and that's when Locke comes in and saves the day.
Yeah, so... one thing that this game does that's really cool is when each character has their own music too, and
yes.
So it'll kind of, when they're introduced, the game will kind of center that character on the screen. Everything else goes black, and they'll have a little description of that character. Really kind of poetic description, and it's just great. And I wish I could give you an example here. Actually, we'll just go ahead and do that because that is awesome.
Mm-hmm. They do that, and then also too on that screen after that, it shows you the character, and it gives you an actual, like, a really nice picture of what the character should look like, and not the little, the person
Sprites
that you see there. It's I guess it would be like an avatar, kind of what you would call it now, but it's like a portrait of that person. It's like a really nice graphic of them. I really like that. It's the Japanese drawing style and everything, so it looks really cool. And you can also change their name at that point. That's something that I thought was kind of weird. It's like, why would you want to have your characters, especially your main characters like this, have their name changed? So
yeah, that is a weird thing. They did that in Final Fantasy II as well. So for us, it's just kind of what you can. It's something that's maybe to be expected. I never changed their names, but I did in Final Fantasy IV, just after I'd played it a million times. So I guess just having that option, but that is weird. It's just kind of, whatever. Yeah. I guess you can call them whatever you want, but yeah, I can't find it on their name, but it gives you that description. You'll see it in the YouTube video. But anyway, Locke jumps in. He's a thief, and he hates when you call him thief. He wants to be called treasure hunter. Mm-hmm. All right, so his basic thing is he's part of the Returners, which is an underground resistance to the Empire. And so he's kind of their little... he is part of that. I don't know what his main role is. I guess he's their treasure hunter, but he kind of just jumps around. He somehow knows Terra's there and goes and tries to get her from whoever the old man is that's taking care of her. He's part of the Returners as well. So she runs and falls into the mines. Locke has to go in there and save her. And so this is when you're introduced to a new component as well of the game, to where you have to form parties. And so they have a whole ton of bad guys not surround her, but they all line up to come and take Terra. Well, Locke calls on Mog, and Mog was like the little main character, the little pig type of character that's super powerful. He was like the spokesman for Final Fantasy 6 on all the commercials and the ads and like the Game Pro and stuff. But so that's when you first see him. And he actually walks out to, hey, it just says defend Terra from the Emperor. Do you need and understand how to do this or something like that? And you put, yeah, I got it. Yeah. I don't need a description. And so what it does, it gives you 3 different groups, and then you separate all the Mogs and Terra, or separate all the Mogs and Locke in a group, and then you can switch between those 3 groups as they're marching up to you. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just talking about the Moggles, because there's just a ton of them, and later on in the caves you get to see that. It's pretty cool. They're just awesome little
They always
guys.
say Kupo.
Yeah. That's all they say too. They never say They never really say anything until it's like one specific Moggle, and he will give you like details. Mog. And his name's Mog. If Mog the Moggle, if he comes up to you, he'll actually tell you details. But all the other ones just say Kupo. That's their language is Kupo. And what was cool is when they had the Final Fantasy crossover for Monster Hunter World. He was actually in there, and of course when he pops out he says Kupo. It's just like, okay, it's just kind of funny. But he is pretty much the Final Fantasy spokesman.
Yeah.
Or spokesperson, I should say. And then too, while I'm thinking about it, the fight there is really cool with having the split parties, having the 3 parties that you have to go back and forth from, because you actually have that happen later on in the game as well. So it's introducing you to a mechanic that you're going to use throughout this game, because it's not something that you did in Final Fantasy, for us, Final Fantasy 2. This is something new to this one here, which was a really inventive way, especially in this. Although this one scene here, to me, it felt like it took forever to fight through it, because it's like the bad guys that are coming at you walk at a super slow pace. You would think that if they're coming to do something, coming to attack you, they would be moving faster than a 1 step a minute pace.
Like
I mean, it's like thump, thump. I mean, it's just so slow, and there's a bunch of them, so you're having to wait for them to come to you, or you can move your characters down and kind of, speed up the fight. I actually liked moving my characters down to speed up the fight, just because it took too long. I'm like, I don't want to wait.
Yeah, once you learn it, I mean, you can sit there and have your main, they're, I don't think I think the, these groups are already pre-made.
They're pre-made. There's nothing that you get to select in these.
So you don't select it yet. So, but anyway, so I got, Mog's group, because he can learn the cave dance. Mm-hmm. So it's a menu-based system. You have fight, then you'll have a special, and then you'll have magic if you're a magic user, and item. So Locke is not a magic user, so he has fight, steal, since he's a treasure hunter, then a blank, and then item. So you're introduced to this steal mechanic. Mog has fight, dance, blank, and then item. So that's their menus, and the point I'm getting at is everybody has their own special ability.
And you also have defend in that menu.
Well, defend is not on the Super Nintendo one. Defend, you have to press right. You push over and it'll go to defend, or if you push to
that's right. Yeah, mine actually had the defend in there. So
yeah, and on the left, if you push left, it'll do row, and it'll change their row. So so that's how you get steal, and you can start stealing items from these monsters and whatever. So anyway, you save Terra, back up at the top, and now Locke wants to take Terra to meet the King of Figaro, which is day 4 question, Edgar. So we're going to go meet Edgar at Figaro. And Figaro is a kingdom that is actually friendly with the Empire. So there's a little bit of double crossing going on here. Edgar, on the surface, is cool with the Empire, but he's actually a returner. So Locke goes down there to Figaro to greet Edgar and introduce Terra, the magic user that nobody's ever seen or heard about, magic, to Edgar, to see what we're going to do here. So they meet Edgar, and this is also when Kefka, the main villain and arguably the greatest villain until Sephiroth for sure, that there is in a Final Fantasy game, and probably he has the most recognizable sound, his laugh. Oh my gosh, all of Final Fantasies.
Once again, it's going back to the music and the sounds in this game. I mean, when you hear Kefka's laugh, you know it. I mean, right now, if you played it just randomly for me, I wouldn't think anything. I would think straight, oh, that's Kefka. It's just one of those iconic sounds. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, and so he's there and he's talking to telling Edgar we're looking for a So his real full name, there's all these full names. I'm not going to get into every single one of them. And a lot of times these names, by the way, if I pronounce it wrong, it's because that's what I pronounced it as a kid. Like Locke was always Locky. Yeah. And so my thief on, if I want it to be Locky on any of these games, I'll pronounce it, or I'll spell it L-O-C-K-I-E. But Locky and Cells, which is Celeste, I would assume. I don't know what it is. We always called her Cells. But it's probably Celeste. But anyway, Edgar Roni Figaro is his real name. But so he's kind of putting on to the Emperor, hey, we hadn't seen her. I don't know where she is. There's a lot of girls here. He's like a ladies' man,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of his thing, the pretty boy. And so anyway, he's kind of doing his thing there. He has a twin brother. If you walk around Figaro Castle in between the scenes and start talking to people, they will actually, you run into an old woman that'll talk to you about Sabin, who is Figaro's or Edgar's twin brother, and he could be king too, but he gave up the throne. Sabin gave up the throne for freedom, and he's a big kung fu guy, just kind of living out in the streets, living in the mountains. living on the wild. And
he's become our local monk.
yeah, he's kind of a monk. He does play kind of the monk character, and he has the blitz specialty. We'll get to him in a second. All right, so Edgar hatches this plan. They're all going to get away in a secret to Figaro Castle. Nobody questioned it at the time. Whatever, it's cool. They push a switch. Figaro Castle will go underground through the desert and to wherever. We don't know where it goes. It goes underground and gone. So now Kefka is out in the desert. You know, you're riding on chocobos to get out of there. As it's going under, you, Locke, and Terra to get out of there to go to South Figaro to try to find Bannon to figure out what to do next. Bannon's the leader of the returners. And so anyway, you're trying to take her to Bannon. And then you just go on this little other side missions here. You're going to, you got to go to Figaro Cave to get there.
Yeah, before you get too far on there, just to throw in a nice little funny thing there is another one of these cultural references is in this when you're if you talk to the Imperial soldiers right before you talk to Kefka before he's burning down, he's trying to burn Figaro Castle down. There's actually a Beavis and Butthead reference there, where one of the soldiers go fire, you know, kind of like what Beavis used to do. Yeah. And so they've got so you get these cultural references in this game as well when you catch little things like that. I mean, you've got Biggs and Wedge, which is Star Wars. You've got this fire, you know, that's Beavis and Butthead reference. So you get these little quips like that in there. I just want to make sure we include that.
There's a ton of them. I'm not going to even be able to touch them all.
No. I just want to make sure I covered that one because I used to love Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, yeah. If you remember them, cover it. So anyway, throughout this time, guys, you can fight random battles. You're getting your experience. You're getting your gil, which is your gold. You know, there's treasures to find. This is what I love about the game. When you're grinding is not in vain, you know.
No,
if you're
not
going to give me experience, you're going to give me gold. I can buy better stuff when I go to the next town. It's just an understood fact. When you go to another town, the gear should be better.
Yep.
You know, and so sometimes you find this piece of iron armor. Oh, it's 3,000 gold. Man, I don't quite have 3,000, and I want everybody to have the best armor, so I need to go grind it out a little bit out in the fields. That's just part of the game. And if you're kind of just fighting everything, you really don't have. You usually have plenty of gold, if I remember correctly. I haven't had a problem yet getting the gold for these things, but you know.
So for me, I was trying to power through the beginning parts of it, and power through the beginning parts of it. Yes, if you don't do a little bit of grinding, you will have a gold issue. I had a guild issue pretty quickly, and I was like, well, I know the only way to get more money is go out there and go fight. And the good thing about that is you know, like Hollywood said, you're not doing it in vain. You're getting levels out of it, you're getting money out of it, you're getting treasure out of it, you're getting things that actually will help you in the long run of playing the game. And especially when you move on to new areas, the level increases for the enemies that you're fighting in those new areas. So if you grind some levels out before you move to the next level, you'll be better prepared to fight those enemies, and it won't be such a challenge. I mean, you can go in and still make a mistake if you decide to do the wrong type of attack to the enemies that you fight in the new areas. You know, it definitely will be, you know, it'll be bad against you, but, you know, go out and do a little bit of grinding.
Yep, and you only save at a save point, which is a little twinkly, you know, star point. You can save it there, or you can save out in the fields when you're not in a town. And guess what? If you mess up and get real far ahead and get all this great gear, whatever, and die, you're starting back from wherever you saved last. There is no, there's no auto saves. There's none of that. So that can, you know, in fact, well, that's more of a that's more of a Super Nintendo mini thing. I won't get into it, but I somehow overwrote one of my saves. Mm-hmm. And I had to go back and play like 2-3 hours. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to do this, but I did. And but anyway, so you have to. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, the good thing about it on the phone is there is a quick save that you can do a quick save, turn it off, which, I mean, they understand if you're playing it on a phone, you're playing it on a mobile system like that.
Yeah, you got to.
You've got to, because you're not going to always get to a save point, because save points are few and far between. I mean, they really are, unless you hit the open world. When you hit the open world, you can save at any time, which is a good feature, because as long as you can pop out of a city real quick, you can save.
Yeah, and then, of course, your SNES Mini has that save state, too.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of get into this, too. So first of all, Edgar's special, or his particular move is tools. So he has an auto crossbow, shoots all the enemies. The bio blaster, that's the only 2 you need for at this point.
Pretty much.
So the only 2 you need. He's a sword user. So Locke is a dagger user. He can use some swords. Terra is a sword user. So you got a sword slot or a primary weapon slot. You have a shield slot. You have a hat slot, and you have a armor slot. This is different than Final Fantasy II. You had a few more. Trying to avoid talking about Final Fantasy II too much, but
yeah,
you had it just different. It was minimized or simplified a little bit more here. But now you have the 2 relic slots.
Yes.
And relics give you special things like the star pendant will make you immune to poison. Knight's Code will make you defend if somebody's hurt. So what happens is you have, say, 1,000 hit points. Somebody beats you down to 50. Your guy's like hunched over.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that's when he's in like a state of really weakness. Now, he doesn't affect his attacks.
Critically wounded.
Yeah, he's critically wounded. So, but somebody with the Knight's Code will jump out and take a hit for him if he gets attacked. That would kill him. Sprint shoes make you run. This was one of those things, man. Sprint shoes. If you put it in, it makes your guy walk faster. This is a luxury. These are hard. Yeah. I hate luxury ones because it's taking up something to make my guys stronger. And they kind of probably would have changed it, knowing what they know now, because they did change it in the advanced version. You just push A and they run, so there's no need to even have sprint shoes. They still have them in the game, but you just press A and they sprint. So they kind of knew that. There's some super powerful ones, and there's some that's just kind of like situational dependent. Like if I know an enemy uses poison, I want a star pendant, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I've got one on Edgar that I really love. It's either called bracers or gauntlets, and basically it makes his weapon more powerful. Basically, he can hold a sword in 2 hands, basically, and his shield becomes his forearms because they have basically what's called bracers or bucklers on them, and so basically he can defend that way. I love that one because it ups his power of his sword weapons.
What do you mean he has bucklers? On mine, it just has nothing in his shield slot.
Well, it has nothing in his shield slot, but in theory, what it is there's a shield called a buckler that actually attaches to your forearm. It's not something you hold. And so basically he has now what's called bucklers on, so that way he can...
You're talking LARP and stuff.
SCA. It's actual real medieval combat, is bucklers.
So, okay. Well, so because there is a buckler shield on the game, too, is what I'm saying. So if you can't have a buckler shield on the game, you're just talking about...
No, it's
in your mind, he has a buckler on.
Yeah, in my mind, he has these small shields that are attached to his forearms, now that he can block with his forearms.
Okay.
So... And that's, I mean, in essence, that's what it does. It doesn't take anything away from his defenses when you put that relic on.
Well, it does take your defense goes down, because that's kind of what you're giving up, because you don't have that shield.
Well, I mean, that's what it says on the thing, is like you're not doing it at the risk of defense. I'll have to look at it, because like it didn't take, my defense is still super high on that game, on him. Yeah,
so he's a plate wearer, but like yeah, if you don't, at least on the Super Nintendo version, if you take, so it's kind of weird. So you put the gauntlet on, and then your stats don't change, but you don't have a shield. Then you leave and come back and open that stat up again. When your attack was 120, now it's 250. But if you take that gauntlet off and then try to add a shield, you'll see his defense will go up.
Yeah.
But it's, there's are some glitches in the game in terms of like I don't know the exact thing, but like your magic defense, even though it says it goes up to like 250, it really never does, and stuff like that. I don't get into that.
Yeah, here's the description of the gauntlet. It says, steel hand and forearm guard used by knights, allows one weapon to be held with both hands. Basically, it gives him a boost to his attack.
Yeah. And so anyway, so back to the story. So that's kind of the stuff that really like about the game, is that all these different options to customize your characters with your weapons and your relics, and that you're constantly opening up treasure chests that have these, you find treasure chests as you're advancing through the game. It's going to have good stuff on there. And not to get too far off track, but I was talking to Coach the other day, and he brought up a very good point. He's playing some Japanese RPG now, and I got to get into that. But it seems like the American RPGs have not really learned the risk versus reward system like the Americans do. So in these types of games, Final Fantasies, even at this point, we kind of know if I go into a cave and it's very difficult, I know there's some good stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
That's not the case with stuff like Elder Scrolls. You'll
No,
find
not.
a hard to reach case and open it to be like a piece of food in there. You're like, dude, what? But anyway, so people that grew up in these old school RPGs, that's a disappointment. But anyway, so that's kind of the fun part about it. So anyway, you're traveling to South Figaro to go meet Bannon. All right, so you go down there, and they got to South Figaro so they can take a boat to another place, and to get to Bannon. They can't go back to Narsh, so they don't want to go to Narsh at this point. But they're trying to find Bannon. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on why they have to, because at some point from South Figaro they go to the mountain to find Sabin. He jumps in while you're in the middle of a fight, and I can't remember exactly why they go to the mountain.
Because you're sent there to find the legendary. You're sent there to find Duncan, Master Duncan, because you're trying to. He was training some disciples in the mountains, and so you're like, okay, well, let me go check that out because that's just the next path on there, and you end up finding out that Duncan was murdered. Was killed by one of his by one of his students, and so that's whenever you're like, what? Okay, but his son is missing, and a man that bears a resemblance to Edgar has gone to find the rogue student. So basically, when you hear this, it's like, oh, there's somebody that looks like Edgar out there. It must be Sabin. So that it draws you now to go try to find what you think might be Sabin out there.
Yeah. So you find Sabin. He jumps in. You recruit him. You're in the middle of a fight with Vargas, and so Sabin has this blitz ability. And this is, again, so far, you go down to steal, click it. Okay, I want to steal. Little hand goes over to the monsters. Which monster do you want to steal it from? Go down to Edgar's tools. Click which tool you want to use. Click, and he does it. Sabin's different. He starts with 3 blitz attacks, and you have to be in the menu when you're not in a fight to see how to do these blitz attacks. And it's a series of button presses to do the primary blitz, which is pummel, that I've always used. I think he starts with 3. I don't even know the other 2, just to show you how much I used them. Pummel, you go to blitz, push A. So it's going to pull out, you push left, right, left, A, again, and he does the pummel. All right, the next one he gets is Aura Blast or something. You got to throw a fireball like down, right, and then A, and that's how you do that one. If you mess it up, he don't perform it, Mm-hmm. So that's why left, right, left is very simple. And he does it every time. Very powerful when
it's
you
very
do
strong,
get it.
yeah.
And so that's what he does. He uses these claw weapons. So just something he puts on is a claw.
Yeah, and the good thing about Blitz is it doesn't take any special health or abilities to do it. So it's just a normal attack for him.
Yeah. And so
go ahead.
So anyway, so you go to the Returner's hideout now. So now you're finding Bannon at the Returner's hideout, and you finally get there after you get Sabin, going through the mountains and so on and so forth. Find Bannon. Bannon explains to her what they're trying to do. Ask, do you want to join? I forgot about that. So if you immediately go for the off, so Bannon will let you go to say, hey, decide what you want to do. Do you want to join the Returners or not? To Terra, you're playing kind of from Terra's point of view at this point. And so if you say yes, you get a gauntlet. If you say no, you'll get a Genji glove, which means you get 2 weapons, 1 in each hand, so you can attack twice. So, but then if you decline 3 times, you get a Genji glove. See. Yeah, you got to pick. Yeah, so you could. There's different things that you. So depending on what you say, it depends on the items that you get. This happens a lot. So this is what's great about the game too. Your choices matter. Yeah. It's not going to necessarily change the flow of the game, but the different items that you get.
It gives you different options of way to fight. That's basically all it is.
Yeah, and so anyway, so you pick. Yes, we want to we want to. I'll join the returners, and they say, all right, cool. Now they're trying to go to Narsh. Is it? And then so the Empire invades South Vigara, where they just left, and now they're coming to the hideout. So now they got to get out of there.
Yeah.
And so they want to run. They go to. Are they trying to go to Narsh at first?
I can't remember if they're trying to go back to Narsh, but
I think they are. They want to meet back at Narsh. Yeah, because they do want to go to Narsh because they get on the raft and they go. Bannon's skill.
That's right. They want to go back. They want to go back to Narsh so Terra can talk to the Esper.
Yeah,
because they want to get her connected to the Esper since she's magic. Esper's magic. They're just trying to put the whole magic thing back together.
They want to get to the bottom of what that Esper's doing in Narsh. Nobody knows at this point. It's frozen. So anyway, so then you get on the raft and you're going around. At this point, though, this is pretty cool. So you're going down the river and you got to pick which path you want to take and all this. At some point, so you'll be traveling along. It'll stop and it'll say you want to go up or do you want to go left. So this was pretty cool. I did this one time too. There's one part where it says you want to go up or left. If you push up, it just sends you up. You go around a circle, and then you come back to the same thing. So if you want to go up or left, again, you push up, it just keeps going around a circle. You got to push left. But if you keep pushing up, it's unlimited. You can put your settings on to where it will do the last command. So you can put fight for everybody, or auto crossbow for Edgar, fight for everybody else except Bannon, and put heal for Bannon, and you will never die. And you can put that down, put a little chair or something on your controller, turn your TV off, come back to the next day, and you're like level 70 for all your characters. And so now everybody you meet is also level 70. So you just blasted through the game right there. I've done that. That's pretty fun. But anyway, Locke has already gone to. So by the way, they split up. Locke is not on there. Locke is not on the raft. Locke goes to back to sneak into South Vigaro and see what he can learn from the Empire. He's their little spy, sort of little ninja running around. Can kind of remain unseen. So he's gone at this point. So that's what he went to do by Bannon's order. And so anyway, they're going down the river. Sabin falls off and it floats away. You don't know what's going on. And then now it's a new thing. This part of the game I'm not a big fan of.
Well,
I didn't like it this
There's
much.
a mini boss battle that makes him fall off the raft.
Yeah, so
they're fighting Ultros.
Ultros is the kind of comic relief of the game.
Yeah, he is.
And so he knocks him off. Ultros is an octopus. And he just kind of shows up every so often. And
Sabin's like, I'm going to be the big tough guy, and he jumps in the water after Ultros to fight him.
Yeah, he jumps in. He didn't get knocked off. Yeah, he jumps in after him to go swimming after him.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit it with a blitz, and jumps in.
And he jumps in, and he ends up getting swept down the river because the current's so strong.
Yeah, so now you have to pick... and so now it goes back to the screen. You can save it, and it goes... You can pick Locke's scenario, you can pick Terra's scenario, or you can pick Sabin's scenario, and you're going to do all three. I didn't know that at first when I picked it back in the day. I thought, man, who do I like the most? And I picked Locke. But you're going to do all three, and this is the only time it does it in the whole game where you have to pick a scenario. Mm-hmm. And I understand,
It was kind of cool, but then again, it was also kind of like one of those little extra mechanics that didn't really necessarily have to be there. This is like one of those few like unnecessary things, because both Terra and Locke's scenario are really short in comparisons to Sabin's. Sabin's is like the meat of the story. It's like that's where the story is with Sabin, because he ends up meeting people and all that, whereas both Locke and Terra just kind of go through the motions really. Yeah, so I'll just go through what we have here, but yeah, they could have just done. They could have just told me which ones to play first. It's fine, But so you picked. It didn't matter which order you do it in. It's just that's what I'm saying. It could just have been anything. But anyway, you pick Terra's. Let's just say so they're floating around. They go to Narsh, and she goes through the caves to go try to find the Esper. And they go back to the old. Well, before they go meet, they don't want to go look at the Esper yet. They're just trying to figure out why the Empire's interested in the Esper. Mm-hmm. So they go back and meet the man that saved Terra, and his name is Arvis.
So once you get back there, you got to go through the caves. Just like you said, it's real short. You finish going around on the rafts.
There's a little specialized when you're in the cave in the same place where you did the battle earlier with the Moggles. There's a little star that floats around through the cave, and you have to follow. You have to pick that path, and if you get off that path, little lights are running around, and you have to hit the orange light. Otherwise, you get sent back. So it's not too hard. The enemies aren't too tough. You've got Bannon with you, so you can just set them on auto heal, and you're just fine.
Yeah. So this is easy, this part, but
you do get to see the Moggle's house in this part.
Yeah, you can go to the Moggle's house, and they'll say Kupo, and you can get a rune blade, which I didn't like the rune blade because it uses MP to do more damage, supposedly, and it doesn't even do more damage, but it just uses your MP.
Yeah. So
it says it consumes 12 to 18 damage to hit a critical hit every time. So grab onto a few MP and stick with a great sword. So hold on to, so grab onto your few MP. So just saying don't use it.
Yeah.
It's horribly cost ineffective at this stage in the game is what it's saying.
It is. And basically you get through that and then you're at the little hideout house and that's it.
Yep, you're waiting for the other groups. So then we'll jump to I'll just talk about Locke real quick. That's the easy one.
Yeah.
Then we'll go to savings. That's the longest one. So Locke is running around in South Vigaru, has to steal from the emperors or the imperial soldiers to get their uniform, steal from a merchant. There's other things that have happened that you've seen, and we're not getting to the finite details, but if you've walked around in South Vigaru when you were there the first time, you would see that there's a little merchant that takes a cider to this old man.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of remember that. Same way when you walk in the Terra scenario, you go through the cave, Locke knew the hidden area of the cave, showed it to Terra, then when you go back through, she remembers it. So little things like that that are happening throughout. But he's stealing stuff, getting into the basement of wherever some house that where the imperial soldiers are, and finds Celeste. Celeste is a general for the South Vigar for the Emperor, and now she's captured and getting beat. Do you know why? I don't know why.
I never knew why. I never saw why. So
let me see if it says it, because I didn't. I did not. Gosh, yeah, this is even on this walkthrough. Saving has like 4 pages of it.
It just says so the mighty cells has fallen. Yeah, in my walkthrough here, it never really says why. It never really says why in the game itself either. It just, she could have lost in battle, and they think that she's weak now because of that. There could have been several different reasons why, but you never really know the exact reason why she is no longer why she is no longer in favor with the Empire.
Yeah, let me see if it says it here. So the next cutscene is subject to much debate. Another version of the game, Sales is being smacked around quite a bit by a soldier, eventually falling to the floor. This was removed to fit the target audience in the U.S., though many felt the scene added drama to the situation and all. Oh well, yeah. That she did fall to the floor and hit on the Super Nintendo one. So I don't know what he's talking about. So they're beating on her for some reason. She's tied up. In the game version that I play on my phone, she falls to the floor, but you never see a guard go up and hit her. Okay.
So you don't see the violence part of it,
I thought, I've seen them, but they run a charge at her. Boom.
Yeah, they do. They do that on. If you remember it from the cart when we played it back in the day, it does do it. That it does do it on the cart. But when they started making the more updated versions, it's not as much violence. Okay.
So anyway, so you go and rescue her. And she's actually a magic user too. She was infused with magicite. Not magicite. Nobody knows what magicite is yet. She was infused with magic somehow. The Empire did that. And it's just, this weak spell. Same way for Terra, you're just at a low level. But anyway, her ability is rune, that she can just hold her sword up, and any magic cast will be absorbed by her. So probably one of the,
that's probably the weakest,
most unnecessary ones. I've never had it been a scenario other than the one that it makes you fight.
I think I've used it like twice.
Yeah.
Once on accident and once on purpose. It was like, wait, I know this guy's fixing to throw some heavy magic. Let me throw it up there just in case.
Yeah, so you have to escape South Vigaro, and you're trying to get to Narsh, and it's right down the road, you know. So you just go through South Vigaro and going back to the cave that you came through the first time after leaving Vigaro to get to South Vigaro. And there's like some big monster at the end that does magic, and you know if he chants like a regular fire spell on it, it'll kill you in one hit. So that's when you have to use that rune and just let Locke beat on the guy. But anyway, that's what happened there.
Super short as well.
Yep. And so that's all it is. And then they go to Narsh. So now here comes Sabin's like just monstrous.
Oh, it's so long
and kind of boring, man. I mean, so
it does kind of drawn on
parts. So he's floating down the river. He gets picked up by this is where you meet Gau. G-A-U, and it's just some boy that is raised, like the boy who raised by wolves. And he has a unique ability. He doesn't even have a fight command. He will
he has a blitz command. Or not blitz,
he leaps. It's a rage command, but he
rage,
leaps.
That's what it is.
He leaps into monsters and learns their abilities. So he'll leap in. First of all, you got to get him. You got to get dried meat from the town, and when you kill some enemies, he'll appear.
Well, now don't skip one part. Now we're skipping one part because before that happens,
it's not
before that happens, because you get a chance to talk to Shadow.
Oh yeah, so
you get a chance to talk to Shadow. So you get a chance to talk to Shadow, and then when you talk to Shadow, you can have him join your party. Depending on how you play is depending on how long he'll stay with you. He can actually stay with you for quite a while. And you talk to Shadow, and so that's good.
See, it used to be, at least on the Super Nintendo version, that I never got him there. You hire him, and he would only stay until you've earned so much money from monsters, then he would leave. So it was a weird, I think that's what it used to be. That's what I read anyway. I had a big walkthrough that I need to get, but I've seen that it was wrong a couple of times. But he'll leave eventually. It's not like a certain scene that happens and he leaves. He'll leave at random whenever you trigger that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you don't. So let's see. You're in the Veld first, right? You don't go.
Yeah, you're in the Veld. Well, hold on.
You're in the Veld.
But there's somebody else you pick up too.
No, you don't pick up Cyan yet.
Why does it have it in my? It has it in my. It has it in my
it
pictures
is.
here.
You do. Okay, that's what I couldn't remember if you go. So here's what happened. So yep, I didn't remember if it was before or after. So you're not at the Veld yet. No, of course you're not at the Veld yet. So you go to you got to go through the Imperial camp. Shadow will lead you there. Let's see what it says.
Because this right here is Sabin Scenario Cabin Fever. Talk to Shadow and Interceptor. You get Shadow. You're going through that. And for whatever reason, it has... Oh, that's the difference. Okay, that's just a different thing. So you pick up Shadow, and then you go to the attack on Doma. And your attack on Doma is where you and Shadow kind of have to get through in there. And you meet Cyan on this part. At the attack on Doma. That's when you first see Cyan, and he gives you that little whole thing that we were talking about, the black screen or whatever.
Yeah, let's see. I just want to see what. Shadow. Okay. I'm thinking of something else. Shadow. This part that you meet, you can. This is not the first time you meet Shadow. You can meet Shadow at another time and pay him to join you. And that's when he runs off. This one does have a triggered event.
Yeah, he can run off and leave you before though earlier too on this one.
Oh, he can. Okay.
Yeah. There's a possibility that he could run off on you, but for the most part, as long as you play through quickly, he'll stay with you through that one triggered event.
Okay. Cool. Okay. That's why. Yeah. So this is different. Yes, that's what this guy says too.
This one you don't have to pay. You don't have to hire him on this one. He will join. He will join you.
And this may be the first time you'll see him in a bar at some point.
Yeah, you see him in a bar, and it was earlier. You could have seen him in the bar and talked to him and everything.
His music's just sick. Man.
When you walk into a room and you hear that music, you know Shadow is right around the corner.
Yeah, it's like a Proto Man in Mega Man 3 or like Zero when he's about to appear. Some music comes on, but anyway, yeah. So he's there. So I may be thinking about at some point in the game you can pay him to join you, and then he'll walk off once he's got enough gil. That's what I'm thinking about. So my bad. So anyway, yeah. So what's going on here is you got to get to the Imperial base. Shadow's going to lead you to it. It's an Imperial camp, and so the camp has General Leo in it, and they want to storm the. They're basically doing a siege on the castle.
On Castle Doma.
Yeah, on Doma, which is where Cyan lives, another character. And so, by the way, Shadow has the throw command. You throw any old weapon or shurikens or ninja stars or whatever. And the Doma is the home of Cyan, and they're not Emperor loyalists, of course, and so they're getting ready to attack them. Well, anyway, the Emperor calls back General Leo, so that leaves Kefka in command. And General Leo is actually a good dude. He's just fighting for his country or whatever. He's loyal to the Emperor.
Yeah, Leo's basically like, let's just wait them out. They'll eventually surrender because we've got more than they have. We can eventually basically force them to surrender without any bloodshed. It's basically his opinion and the way he takes it. Kefka, on the other hand, he's like, let's get to business. Let's just wipe them out and be done with it.
Yeah, Kefka ends up poisoning the river, killing everybody, even his own men, whoever drinks the water. So he poisons the river when Leo's leaves. And nobody likes Kefka, but they know he's just a crazy man. He even looks like a clown. Everybody else is dressed in military. This dude's dressed like a clown. But anyway, he poisons the river and kills everybody. Cyan comes out there. That's unacceptable. You poison the river, you kill him. It kills his family. It kills his wife and his son. And so he's on a vendetta now for the Empire. And he is, he's bad too. He uses like a ninja sword, like katanas and stuff like that. Single edge blade type of thing. But he has the what's it called? Wow, I just couldn't remember what it's called. When he does his special move?
Bushido.
Yeah, it's not called Bushido in the Super Nintendo though. It is called Bushido, but it's called something else. But he basically it's a charge bar that charges up, and it goes to 1, 2, 3, and you got to sit there and wait. But if you do 1, it's dispatch, and that's good enough. And he just does a special attack and hits. But anyway, so he's got a vendetta. So they go through the camp, busting it up. He's on a blood drunk, tearing through the camp. And so they go on the run. So they go in there and do as much damage as they can. And then they, what causes them to run? They run to the forest.
They're chasing Kefka for a while.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're chasing Kefka.
They chase Kefka and they get across the bridge, and Cyan is coming back across because we don't go in the forest yet. This is when, because the poisoning happens, and then Cyan and Sabin and Shadow all end up meeting up together now, and they're all together, and they end up getting into the tech suits again.
Yeah,
and so they do that, suits. And they plow through the they plow through the town or whatever, through the little area. And then they flee into the forest because just people start pouring in at this point. And so this is a chance. Where Shadow could run off. So like right here, when you go right before you go in, Shadow could be like, I'm out. I'm not going to that forest. And then you run into the forest and the Phantom Forest, and that's where you have the Phantom Train. Yeah. So, and that's where we're at now.
So you're still trying to go to. You're just trying to get. You chase Kefka a while, but then you're trying to get back to Nars. So you got to travel through. The only way to get through to where you're going is to go through the forest. That's what happens. Mm-hmm. You're still trying to get back to Nars, and so you got to go through the forest, and then they meet this Phantom Train. And I don't like the Phantom Train. I think it's just a boring spot.
It's filler, and it's like, why did you add this filler here that just like So I mean, we can just really skip over it. I mean, You basically you're basically just running from Ghost on the Phantom Train. The Phantom Train is taking people. They're basically taking souls to. So Sabin and Cyan and Shadow are like, okay, let's get on this train, and they're like, oh wait, we've realized this is the Soul Train, and Sabin's like, what? And so they're like, yeah, this is the train that ferries souls to the afterworld. And so basically they're on that train trying to get through it. So you have to basically fight your way through it and get all the way to it.
All the way from the caboose to the front of the train. And dude, it's just
you have all kinds of
grind.
It is, and it's just kind of dull because it's like you added it in here for no sense. And then you get to the front of the train and you actually have to fight the train. Yeah. And that's what's kind of silly because you're running away from the train and trying to turn around and fight the train at the same time. It's just kind of...
All you have to do is use a Phoenix down on it and it's dead. One hit and it's over. And so all undead are like that. So anyway, so that's what happens there. So now they have to jump. They find that this is where he left me. Shadow left me.
Yeah, Shadow leaves here. I think he leaves automatically here.
Yeah, so we had to jump over the side and go into the river.
Yeah, at the falls. He leaves at the falls no matter what.
Yep. And so you wake up. Now you go through the Barren Falls. Is this? Yeah, you're going through the
fight scene of the Barren Falls, and this is where you meet Gal.
Yeah. Okay. Gal, so then you wake up in the Veldt. Yeah, and this is where you meet Gal, the wild boy, and you got to get some dried meat to get him to join your party. He does the leap command to learn. So this is what Sabin's. This is why his scenario is a little bit drawn out, and it's not. It's the Phantom Train is the only thing that's really filler. Cyan's, we didn't mention it. We see his wife and kid get on the train. Yeah. And they're talking to him. So that's kind of really the whole reason. We didn't have to fight all that. You could have just showed us.
Yeah, they could have connected it a different way.
But anyway, so Gal only becomes useful if he jumps and leaps onto enemies. All right, so he'll leap in, you don't have to fight, and then you go back and fight enemies until he reappears. Wherever he jumps in and reappears, whatever monsters are there, that's the abilities he will learn. There's only a handful that you need to know. Trillium uses Bio, that's a really good one, and then Stray Cat uses Cat Scratch, and that is bad. Everybody's hitting for 150. And then Cat Scratch will hit for 1,000. So that's like the most powerful thing. And those are the two you want to get. There's other ones too, of course.
I need to find Stray Cat. I hadn't done that one yet.
Yeah, he doesn't even mention it in this one. He says the most important ones in this walkthrough. Important ones are Dark Wind, which does break. It makes you float inherently. So once guy who picks a monster to attack as, you lose control of them. Trillium, Alacran does numb, which makes something stop. Templar, dude, come on. It does Thyra though, I guess.
And Thyra can be decent.
Yeah, and Thundera is there's another one that does that, but anyway, yeah, Cat Scratch. If it's something that's not good or not, that is immune to magic, so to speak, then just use that Cat Scratch. But I got that on the Opera House scene on YouTube. Cat Scratch. He kills Ultros 2 hits, dead. And so that timer was, it's a timed scene on the Opera House. But
I didn't use Gal on my Opera House, so
yeah, I did this time because I never did before. I just wanted to see. Yeah. But anyway, so you get him. He shows you that, hey, there's a thing you can put on your head. We'll go under the water, and then we'll get to Narsh. You all meet up at Narsh. Another big talk. Meeting of the minds, the big returners. They all show up, introduce the people that hey, this is Cyan, this is Celeste. Of course, Cyan's mad at Celeste at first, but she's an Imperial general, wants to fight her. Locke steps in. Locke is really trying to protect Celeste for some reason. We don't know why. They're like, oh, are you still carrying that around? You need to cut it loose, like on Roadhouse. But they, there's all kind of just hints at backstories at this point. You don't know. Yeah. So anyway, man, so they do that. And
at this time you have another big battle.
Yeah, another big battle. Now you pick
who you want. Yeah, you pick in your groups. And it's best to keep your two magic users apart.
So here's what I did. What did you? So who did you put? Do you remember?
I don't even remember. I know I put Terra and Cells apart. I don't remember who I'll put in the groups because I was like, let me put them in these groups and split them like that, and there you go.
So here's what I did. Let's see, what is this? Sorry.
Basically, I kept Cells and Terra apart. I kept Sabin and Edgar apart because they were the two strongest at the point for me, and I just filled in the groups from there.
Yeah, so this guy said he put Edgar and Terra together, Locke, Celeste, Gal together, and Cyan and Sabin together. So here's what I do. I put Cyan in his own group. I put Sabin in his own group, and I park them by Bannon. Then I put Locke, Celeste, Gal, and Edgar, or either Celeste or Terra.
Mm-hmm.
So Sabin's going to be with one of the magic users. I usually do Terra, Edgar, Locke, and Gal. And I will go straight down to that, cut through all of them, and go straight down to the boss and steal from. You can steal pretty good stuff from the stuff of the boss and kill them. So if one of them gets by, you can take them out with Sabin and Celeste. But they usually can get down there fast. You got to kill the Hell's Rider and Kefka himself.
Yeah.
So let's see if he even has what's stolen. A stolen item, you can get a mithril vest or an elixir. So I actually got the mithril vest the first time, and then, like I said, I overwrote my save, and I go back and I got the stupid elixir. So it's like, whatever. But anyway, that's kind of a fun thing to do. Now you got the respite at Narsh. So what happens once you run off the Emperor there?
Well, you go and you talk to the Esper.
You talk to the Esper.
Isn't that next?
And then she flies off.
Yeah. You talk to Esper. The Esper does the Esper actually changes her into something else. You don't know what happens.
She's talking to she's having a reaction to the Esper, and everyone's like, Terra, what are you doing? What are you doing? And she's kind of, something's going on. She changes into this pink thing and flies off with this weird sound. Right? She's like, oh, what is going on? Right, so now they're trying to find her. We got to go find where she went.
Mm-hmm. And you're back in Narsh, and so when you're in Narsh, you have to now once again select who you want to go where. So you have everybody but Terra that you're picking for a party. Bannon stays behind. You got to leave a couple people to stay behind. I actually left Cyan and Gal behind on my playthrough of this one, and I took Cells, Locke. Which Cells and Locke, I think, have to go. And then I took Sabin and Edgar.
Yeah, they do. I can't remember why. Because she has to go...
She has to go somewhere. She has to get into something. And Locke has to help her sneak in.
They just want to go... They want to go check out the camp.
Yeah.
Again.
And they're trying to find where Terra went.
Yeah, and they say she flew off toward some other town. And that's when you find out that, hey, we can take Figaro Castle to the town. Yeah. So you go there, and they move you over to that town, and that's when you can learn a little bit about Locke's history, in which that's the town that he grew up in. So you go to that. That's one way you can kind of get the backstories. You can go through the whole game and not. This part you're still kind of linear, but you're right. You do get to at least pick who you want in your group,
And here's where you can, if you had room in your party, you could hire out Shadow for 3,000 gold.
That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. And so, you can get Shadow again. I guess the only reason would be to get him some levels, but I mean, he probably
doesn't really
so
matter.
Here it says, finally, you could choose to leave Narsh with only 3 characters and picked up the old friend and Kolingen. That's where you're going. Shadow will randomly leave you throughout the entire scenario, and therefore is a risky investment. Battle-wise, Shadow is a straight offensive. Okay, whatever.
And this is where, and in Collagen is where Locke's from, and you get to have a little bit of his backstory.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So, you learn that he had a, was it Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel.
Was his girl that
Rachel.
He was promised to protect, and he failed to protect her. And so, by doing so, that's what he told Celeste when he first met her. Celeste and Cells. He calls her, Clear's calling her Cells. I'm calling her Celeste. So I don't know what her real name is. It looks like the Celes. We always called her Cells growing up. So But she looks like Rachel, so Locke is kind of taken to her and wants to protect her, and that's kind of where he is with that. And so you get a little bit of story. It goes through what happened. They're in a cave, and she falls through. He didn't protect her, but she's actually still in a bed in town,
being preserved.
Being preserved by a bunch of flowers and stuff. Kind of weird when you go back and think about it.
Very creepy.
Like, why isn't she like buried when she's being preserved? Okay. Yeah. Well, that is kind of creepy. But anyway, so you kind of do that. And you're still having to... Okay, so here's the optional side trip. Tara flew off. You can take... Yeah, so here's where you gotta...
here's where
you go back to the Veld and get more stuff for Gal. You need to go to South Figaro and buy the drill. That is the other one that you need. Drill, Bioblaster, and auto crossbow, which he already comes with auto crossbow. Okay, so it's saying the Meteor Strike Blitz will become more dangerous than the Aura Cannon here, too. When Sabin is without earring and with earring, the damage is different but marginal. Meteor, I didn't ever do any of these.
Yeah, I didn't do any of that stuff either, yeah.
He wasn't even that strong. I didn't take him on mine.
Oh, yeah, he was one of the strongest characters, so I took him with me because I was like, I was like, I'm going to need him, so let me take him with me. So I took him, and I pumped him up. He's pretty well pumped up now. Like, basically, my main characters I play with are Cells, Locke, and the twins.
Yeah, so you can so to get back to the Veld, wow, you got to go all the way to the cave to South Figaro, pass through Mount Colts again, go to the Returner's hideout, go to Bannon's room. You'll find the hidden passage to the raft. Jump on it. The same battles you had to fight earlier. Now take the path Sabin took when he drifted off, and you'll find yourself near the hut of the Crazy Man again. Walk through the forest, Phantom Forest, and then jump down Barren Falls. And you're in the Veld now.
See, I didn't
just wait till I got the. No, there's no way.
I didn't do any of that. I went straight for, what my story was, because my next after doing the stuff with Locke and everything, I went to the town of Jador.
Yeah.
And that's where I headed through, and that's where my walkthrough was going through. Was going to Jador. My walkthrough doesn't even touch any of what you just did. Yeah,
no, I didn't. Those are all optional stuff. You can have Edgar. So if you walk into this cabin or walk into the castle with just Edgar, he'll say, "I wish Sabin was here."
Yeah.
And if you bring Sabin and Edgar, you'll see a little scene. You'll kind of see what happened. They flip a coin to see who was going to be.
Yeah, you find out more backstory about that too, and that was nice seeing that once I got to when I got to Figaro's castle.
And it was so this is important because it was a two-headed coin.
Now, there was a two-headed coin in another one. Now, I don't think it ever tells you it was a two-headed coin on that one.
Yeah, so I can't remember if this scene... there is a two-headed coin with those two at some point in the game. It may not have surfaced yet. Sabin didn't.
If there's a two-headed coin scene with them, it's past the Opera House.
Okay, I'd have to see that because at the opera... So remember, not to get too far ahead, but after the Opera House, when Celeste is flipping the coin, she goes to Edgar to get it. She walks over to him and takes it and gets the coin, and then does the flip. And he was hustled, and so you knew that he had a two-headed coin. That's why he went over there. But anyway, I don't remember where that scene is. If you take both, if you sleep in the inn, you'll get that scene. Mm-hmm. That's right. I'm pretty sure if you sleep in the inn in Figaro Castle, that's what it says here. A special scene will be revealed. Yep. However, there's a better chance to watch this later when the timing is right. But if you sleep in the inn, that's when you'll see the flipping of the coin. Because they said, "Who wants to be king? It's going to be me or you or whatever." They're not arguing over it. But Sabin doesn't want to be king. They flip a coin. It's a two-headed coin, and he's out.
Yeah, basically the winner of the flip gets to choose what they want to do. And Sabin won, and he decided a life of freedom.
All right. So anyway, then they go to Collingen, and is that when they figure out about
Collingen was for Rachel and all of that. I don't know if there was the talk of the Opera House or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it is yet. You find out that the girl has now flown towards Jador,
And Jador is where you find out about the Opera House because you talked to the impresario there.
Yeah, so you find out about it, but you still found out that she flew up to, she just tracking down Terra, and you go into these different towns, and then they kind of tell you, hey, I saw her fly up here, I saw her fly up, so you're tracking her down. So now she went to Zozo, and Zozo is an interesting little place. Zozo is a little town that's abandoned, and a bunch of thieves, and everybody running around there. Everybody lies, except for like one guy there.
It's terrible.
And
lies.
so you just
Crazy.
have to figure it out. You just have to figure it out. There's a clock. Did you do the clock?
Yeah, I did the clock.
Did you wind the clock? And then you get the chainsaw for Edgar.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Chainsaw's awesome. And he does it 2 different ways, too. If you ever watch it, he'll do it one time with a hockey mask on, and other times he'll just spin around with it. So on the Super Nintendo version, it's the same. He does that. And I'll see how it is on the phone. On the Super Nintendo version, he spins around and it does damage. If he does the hockey mask and just does a brrr like that and backs up, it's supposed to kill the enemy instantly. Ah.
If it doesn't kill the enemy instantly, like if it's a boss, it'll just say missed. So you're taking a gamble to use the chainsaw. That's why I say
did not know
get the drill. Does yours do? The phone does different. The phone makes it damage all the time.
I didn't pay attention to it. I never saw it miss. So
okay. So yeah, it'll miss on big bosses, and so when you pick that chainsaw, you're taking a gamble that it's going to do a bunch of damage, or at least on the Super Nintendo version. But anyway, so you run through Zozo, you're getting attacked all the time. This town has random battles, and you find clues. Like they say the seconds. What are the second hands on? Oh, they are divisible by 20. And then another one will say this. You'll walk around and talk to somebody else. Oh, my second hand on my watch is pointing at 30. So it ain't 30. That's not divisible by 20. So you got to put all these clues together. Oh, what time is it? 4 o'clock. So it's not 4 o'clock because they like to lie. Mm-hmm. And anyway,
you eventually find out what time it is. So
yeah, you have to just do all the clues. There's nobody tells you what time it is. Then you go set the clock. And so after you get all the rates, or after you get all the clues, you're saying if the time is clear, it's either 6:10:10 or 6:10:50. And so you can put, it doesn't matter if you do it the first time or second time, it's the same thing. And there it goes. It says, so the the chest contains a chainsaw. It's a powerful new tool for Edgar that is basically drill on crack with the annoying 25% tendency to try to go for the insta-kill, which has a small chance of missing, and always misses against targets immune to one-hit KO. So then you get no damage for it. So he just basically loses a turn. So anyway, you find a tower. You go up the tower. There goes, there's Terra sitting in the... do you find her yet? You don't...
Yeah, you find her in this. This is where you find her.
Okay.
This is saying once you get up the tower, so there's other things that go on. There's a way for you to find a special relic for Locke as well that helps him do better with his stealing. His stealing will now change to mugging, so now you actually do damage to the person when you steal from them. So you can find that and do that. It actually ups him. Once you finally climb up the tower, you find Terra with a guy called, what is his name? Rathmon? Ramu. And so she's chilling in a room. She's laying in a bed with Ramu, and you have a conversation with Ramu. Turns out Ramu's also an Esper. So that's a cool thing. You find out that, and that he actually called Terra to Jador. Or no, we're in Zozo, right?
Yeah, Zozo.
We're in Zozo. Called Terra to Zozo since he is an Esper as well to try to help her because he felt her presence, and he's like, you come here, let me help you. You talk to them, and then you find out that, this is where you learn about Magicite, I think.
Well, before we get into that, so the Espers, remember what we said at first, there used to be a big war between the Espers and humans.
The war of the
Espers are Espers are in hiding. And so Terra is half Esper. So that's what's happening. She's half Esper. Now you're explaining how she's using magic. And Ruma says, hey, he's here watching her at Zozo at the top of the tower, obviously safe from Empire or anybody else. You would never expect it. And he's explaining to the returners, who he is, who she is, and how to draw magic from the Espers. The Empire's doing it all wrong. They're trying to suck life force out and all this, but it's actually they have to die and turn into Magicite.
Yep.
And that's when you can get, Ramu is the lightning Esper, so he will have, I think he has Bolt 2, and
he has Thunder.
Something else.
He has Thunder, Thundara, and Poison.
Yeah, so in the Super Nintendo version, it's called Bolt 2, and Poison.
Yeah.
But in Fire is Fire 2. No.
In this one, it's Fire, Viagra, and then Viagra. You got the add the letters on.
I think it's Fira.
Yes, Fira.
Fira, and then Firaga.
Yeah.
But Bolt is called something that I thought it was called.
In this it's Thunder, it's Thundara, and then Thundargara or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm. I know in Final Fantasy 2 it says Bolt, and Bolt 2 and blah blah blah. But anyway, so that's what. Yes, Fire, Thundera. Okay. Anyway, whatever. It's the second Thunder, second Fire. Second. But anyway, you put those on, and this is when now you start getting the Magicite, like Bolt will have like a times 10 multiplier. So every time you kill an enemy, you might get 1 to whatever number of magic points. And that will be, if you get 1 magic point, it's a times 10 multiplier where you got 10 magic points. So you're 10% learning that spell. You have to have that Magicite equipped on whoever. They also give you buffs as you gain levels and stuff like that. So that's how you learn magic. Your people now are starting to learn magic, and everybody's a magic user. But to learn all of the spells will take some serious time.
Yes, it does. I've been doing it with the 4 that I've got right now. Basically, all my characters know all but 1. Like they've learned almost all of it, and it takes
Cure 2. Cura
takes forever. It takes the
got
longest
a times 1 multiplier.
It takes the longest to learn. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so this is where we're kind of at with the Opera House. So what's happened is Ramu informs you that the Empire has trapped all of his Esper friends. They've caught them, and they're trying to extract magic from them. They're held up in the Magicite lab or whatever, and Magitech lab, and he's asking for you to go free them. And so you got to get to the Empire. You got to get to where they're holding them. So how are we going to do that? So you go back to Jidor to figure it out. That's when you start hearing about this one guy that he leaves a note in the dude's mansion saying he's going to come steal Maria, who's this big opera singer, from the Opera House. And so you'd already learned also that Celeste looks like Maria. So they come up with a plan. Hey, I got an idea. Let's let Celeste go out there and be Maria, pretend to be Maria, because where is Maria anyway? She's not there.
Never totally found out. She's just not there. Maybe sick, maybe decided to skip out of town, who knows?
She didn't want to show up because she knew she was going to get kidnapped. So Setzer is the world's famous gambler, and he's the pilot of the world's only airship, the Blackjack. So they come up with a plan. Let's have him steal Celeste. We'll all sneak on board, and then we'll use his airship to get to the Emperor, to get to where we need to go, so we can go free all the Espers. So that is the big plan. And so the Opera House scene. This is an iconic scene. The first time I saw it, the music. We've already explained how the music's great. Somebody's got some serious skill writing the music for these Final Fantasies. And I don't even know how to explain the Opera House other than just, they perform an opera.
They really do. It's awesome. So
you have to read the script as Celeste, and then pick, when that part of the song comes up, you got to pick it.
So it's really good. It's really good. So as you're sitting there doing this, and before what he just described is you see Ultros creep in the back. And he is like, I want to create havoc. You've ruined my day. I'm just going to come create havoc. I want to kill y'all because, you attacked me while I was floating in the water. You know, he kind of thinks of it as he's the innocent bystander that, you know, that didn't do anything, and you just floated up on my territory, and so I was defending my territory, when in fact he's actually the bad guy. He's creating all kinds of havoc. And so he thinks that this will be fantastic if it creates all these issues. And so you see him sneak off, and you know that he is trying to do something devious, that he's trying to hurt people. Then Sails and Locke go into the dressing room. She's changed. Locke makes some statements about, you know, how pretty she is, basically. And then that's when the opera scene starts. You know, you have to read the opera like Hollywood was saying, and so you know what to do. Because if you miss a line, you get kicked out of the opera, and you have to start over. Yeah. And so and you get 3 tries at it, and then you have to start completely over. You know, it's one of those
game over.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things.
Yeah, it says total of 4 tries to get it right. If you fail 4 times, it says it looks like you weren't exactly born to be on stage, along with an actual game over. So there's ways to fail it if you don't remember the lines correctly. You don't have to do every line that'll pop up, and you got, you know, it's kind of timed because it's with the music. Mm-hmm. And then also if you run out of time, when Ultros is like, oh, I'm going to drop this, you know, anvil on the woman on stage, and so you got like 5 minutes to get up to her and to Ultros and kill him.
So it's actually 2 timed stages. It's 2 timed things. You have a timed one of doing the opera, because you have to do them on cue. If you don't do them on cue, you wait too long, you'll fail as well. Right. And then you also have to do a dance with one of the guys there, so you have to follow him around, do the dance, grab the flowers, take them up to the balcony, finish the opera, throw the flowers or whatever, and then there you go. That scene's finished. Then you have the Ultros part kicked in. Yeah. Then you find out about Ultros and his plans. You have to go from where you're sitting at watching the opera, go to one room to unlock the door that's locked so you can get to the catwalk, walk all the way back around, go into that door, and you only have 5 minutes to do this. Go into that door and start walking across the catwalk. And when you're going across the catwalk, it is infested with rats. I mean, there are tons of them all over the place. The good thing is unlike when you're walking around and you have an attack happen, you don't see where the enemies are. This one you do. You see all the rats running around on the thing, but you can't dodge them because the path you have to take has the rats in that path. So. Yeah.
And timer's going as you're fighting. Exactly.
Even while you're winning your rewards, the timer's going. The timer doesn't stop for anything. And when I got to Ultros with like 15 seconds left. You know, I was just barely creeping in there because I did something I misstepped on one of my things. And so you get to Ultros and you basically stop him from dropping the anvil. But the bad thing is you'll all fall down to the floor and you basically mess up the opera that's going on.
Yeah. So then they kind of ad-lib it, and then Locke jumps in and says, "Oh, I'll save Maria or whoever." And so everybody's like, "Oh, it's a big twist." You know, the opera director, opera house owners, like, you know, kind of getting into it now. It's just kind of comical. I mean, it's supposed to be funny.
It's funny, but it's really good. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
And then here comes Setzer, swoops him down and picks up Maria, our Celeste, and the plan has worked, and we will just have to pick up what happens next on the next playthrough here after part 1. We're creeping up on 2 hours, a long playthrough, but it's fun to talk about this story, and hopefully you guys can follow along, and it's not too bad. But like I said, we will have a video for what we're talking about on YouTube if you want to kind of go see this game again. And you guys can follow along there. But that's where we are at, going to rescue the Espers and getting some magic power. We found out that Terra is half Esper, and that's how you get magic, is after they turn into Magicite. And we are going to see where what happens next on the next one. So probably next week sometime. Got to play to that time. But hopefully this one will be out on Sunday, so tomorrow recording this Saturday night, and get it to you guys. You got anything else you want to add?
No, man, it's fun reliving this, talking about it, so really enjoy
it's
breaking it down.
It's a lot of fun to play it.
It's been a blast to play it. I've had so much fun playing it.
it's a lot of fun to play it when you're kind of like, I'm going to do a podcast about it, as well. So it's kind of a different experience. You try to remember certain things. And, some people, I've heard these type of things before. Some people will take notes. But it's kind of just fun to remember it. And I mean, if it's something crazy, it just sticks out. Just do that. But just, so I'll cover that next time. But anyway, all right. Appreciate you guys listening. And we will see you next time.
Take care, guys.